Imagine going to sleep on a completely ordinary Tuesday. No accidents, no strange dreams. But when you wake up, something feels off. You look down, and the beige bedsheets you bought are suddenly a deep blue. You brush it off as a trick of the morning light. Then you go outside, and your car isn't in your driveway. You get to work, and someone else's name is on your office door. And when you try to call your partner to figure out what is going on, the number doesn't exist. There is no record of them anywhere. We operate on the basic assumption that the universe we live in today is a singular, unchanging layer. But physics and documented history suggest that this foundation might actually be porous. History is scattered with accounts of people who claim to have experienced these shifts. They range from tourists stumbling into the wrong century for a few minutes to drivers whose hometowns suddenly look like alien landscapes. If these layers of reality can overlap, then waking up in the wrong one isn't just a nightmare. It's a silent, ever-present risk we ignore every day. To understand how these slips happen, we have to look at the patterns, starting with level 1, the fleeting glitch. On August 10, 1901, two English tourists were walking through the gardens of the Palace of Versailles. As they approached the Petit Trianon Pavilion, the normal sounds of tourist crowds vanished, replaced by an eerie, total silence. The air grew heavy, and the few people they did see were wearing outdated clothing straight out of the 1700s. Before they could fully process the impossible scene, a blinding flash of light washed over them. In an instant, the normal noise of 1901 rushed back in. They had experienced a highly localized, temporary time slip. But these tears aren't restricted to time. Level 2 anomalies distort physical space. In 1986, a man named Pedro was driving a familiar route in Spain when he hit a dense, unnatural purple fog. When the smoke cleared, the road signs had changed languages, and the highway no longer matched the maps he had memorized. 20 years later, in the United States, a woman named Carol drove through her hometown and discovered her grandmother's house and the local cemetery were completely gone. In their place was an empty field, surrounded by strangers moving with a stuttering gait, almost like a broken film strip. Both Pedro and Carol panicked and immediately drove back the way they came, eventually finding their way out. These cases show that the boundaries of space and time can stretch dramatically, but usually they snap back into place. That brings us to level 3. July 2008, Madrid, Spain. A 41-year-old woman named Lorena Garcia woke up in her own bed, but her universe had been completely overwritten. It started with those blue sheets she never bought. But as the morning went on, the impossibilities piled up. At the company where she'd worked for 20 years, another person's name was on her door. She found her belongings in a completely different department, right next to a framed university diploma for a degree she had never studied for. The darkest detail was waiting for her at home. Her loving partner of 4 months, Augustin, was completely unreachable. Instead, sitting on her couch was her abusive ex-boyfriend, Miguel. In this world, she had never left him. The private investigator Lorena hired scoured national databases, employment histories, and property records. He found no birth certificate, no tax history, and no driver's license. There was not a single record proving the man had ever existed in this universe. Confronted with a life she didn't recognize, Lorena checked herself into a hospital. She explained her symptoms to the doctors, fully convinced that she was suffering from a severe neurological breakdown. The psychiatric evaluations came back perfectly clear. Her blood work was pristine, and her brain scans showed perfectly healthy tissue. There were no signs of amnesia, no tumors, and no chemical imbalances. Her mind was intact. Her physical identification documents were totally valid, which meant Lorena wasn't the one who broke, the universe did. Is there a physical mechanism in quantum mechanics or cosmology that allows a person to accidentally switch universes? Looking at this deep field view of distant galaxies, we can visualize a leading framework called cosmic inflation. This model suggests the Big Bang may have formed distinct, separate bubbles of reality, each evolving with slightly different histories. Taking that a step further, Brain theory suggests our entire three-dimensional universe is just a flat surface contained within a higher spatial dimension. Multiple realities could be stacked horizontally on top of each other, separated by microscopic distances. Normally, these stacked worlds never touch, but if the fabric of spacetime experiences a severe fluctuation, a microscopic fold or crack could allow one reality to temporarily slip into another, creating a bridge for matter to cross. Even Albert Einstein's mathematical models of gravity and spacetime allow for extreme folds that could create these accidental bridges. The multiverse is a mathematically natural consequence of our current physics. And while we haven't witnessed a person cross over in a lab, the same equations that describe the birth of our universe provide the blueprints for these accidental bridges. For 2 years, Lorena Garcia documented her struggle on internet forums, desperately trying to find anyone else who remembered her original universe. She shared intricate details of the timeline she left behind, looking for a lifeline. The responses were mostly hostile. Eventually, she posted a final message, writing that she was exhausted and just wanted to wake up from the nightmare. After that post, she vanished from the internet entirely. She never found the tear in space-time that brought her to Madrid in 2008. She was forced to live out the rest of her days surrounded by strangers, in a life she didn't choose. It's easy to dismiss her case as a unique anomaly. But think about the last time you lost your keys in a spot you swore you checked, or clearly remembered a conversation your friend insists never happened. We write those moments off as a failing memory or a simple trick of the mind. But the next time something in your house feels just slightly out of place, you have to ask yourself if you're really being forgetful or if reality folded while you were sleeping.